Namaste, friends. Happy Ugadi, happy Yugadi, happy Samvatsaradi, and happy Gudi Padwa, happy Lunar New Year, Vishwa-vasu to all of you. The name Vishwa-vasu means beneficent and auspicious to the whole world. But the thing is, don't go by the name. As I mentioned in a few previous such videos, name is just one factor. You really have to go through the planetary positions to assess how the year will be. It's not just based on the name, and which we will do in this video. To put things in perspective, in the current creation, there have been many creations in the past that basically creation came and then it was destroyed and there was a new creation. In the current creation, 1,655,885,126 years have passed. So that is basically the counting based on the Hindu cosmology, which is similar to what modern science indicates as the age of the current creation. And since the Mahabharata war, this is year number 5091, and in Kali Yuga this is year number 5126 in the current Kali Yuga. In this video, I will talk about some general trends during this year. I will give the results for some selected nations, and I will talk about what is Panchanga, what is Panchanga Shravana in general, and do a few standard things like annual planetary cabinet and some key transits including eclipses, etc., and some standard numbers given for the 12 moon signs, and some standard results given for the 27 and 28 nakshatras, stars, moon stars, etc. And then apart from what is done as a standard thing in Panchanga Shravana, I will also identify some of the major transits of slow moving planets for various moon signs and highlight particularly good or particularly bad transits and suggest some remedies that can accentuate the good and suppress the bad. In terms of general long-term trend, this is a slide that I have used in the past annual videos. We are in the middle of a major geopolitical transformation between 2020 to 2036. And as I mentioned last year, 2020 to 2021 was a destabilizing and abnormal period for the world. These are basically subphases within this big transformational period. 2022 and 2023 were somewhat normal and stable. And I told you last year that in 2024 we were entering a transition phase, and in 2025 and 2026 we would be in a highly destabilizing and abnormal period again. And unfortunately it is 2025 and this is where we are now. The year started this morning for us in US on Saturday morning. In India it would be Saturday afternoon. It started with a 6th planet conjunction in the watery sign Pisces in the Mena Rasi, and not only there was a 6th planet conjunction, also called Shashtagraha Kota, there was a solar eclipse when the year started. So this combination suggests that there can be some natural disasters like hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, etc. around this period. And apart from it, these conjunctions don't necessarily need to play out in the few days before and after. They can bring events over the coming 2-3 months that trigger major long-term changes. So this is basically this current transit of March 29 is basically a major thing, and we can see some unexpected and crazy things over the next 2-3 months that have a long-term implication. But the thing is, it's not all negative. There are also some positives. Pisces or Mena Rasi is the 12th house of moksha in the natural zodiac. So this is an excellent time for triggering a spiritual awakening, whether within individuals or across basically communities. So this is a good time for spiritual progress also. And continuing the general trends, though we have seen some momentum towards peace in the last few months, unfortunately this is still time of wars. This is not time of peace, but this is time of wars. And one thing we have seen is there is a cold war between US-led West and the Sino-Russia alliance, China-Russia alliance in the last few years. And we will see some fissures in both the alliances, as we have seen some signs in the last few months. There will be some fissures. China will try to weaken the bond between US and West, and of course US may also do some self goals and contribute to that, but China will proactively try to create fissures in this relationship, and at the same time US may try to create fissures in the alliance between China and Russia. The thing is, both the sides, both US and China, it is very likely that they have decided that a major conflict between them in the 2027-2031 time frame is unavoidable, and both the countries are preparing. So some of these moves by them are basically in preparation for that. So both the countries will start preparing for a major conflict this year. And some of the old war fronts that we have seen will continue this year. Israel, basically there was a temporary ceasefire, but basically that ended recently, and Israel will continue various conflicts in the Middle East area with Lebanon, with Hamas, and it may expand to other players in the Middle East. So Israel's wars will continue, and Ukraine, even though there is some movement towards peace, I'm afraid the war will continue for a while, at least for the next several months. So the world war fronts will keep chugging along, and some new wars are possible. These are not necessarily war fronts that converge to a major world war in 2030, as I mentioned about Israel and Ukraine, but localized wars. We'll talk about them when we talk about specific countries, but there may be some new wars this year. But in general, unfortunately, this is a year of wars, not peace. And as far as the world economy is concerned, it is likely to struggle. This is not a good year for world economy. Last several years, even though recession was on the horizon, I kept saying that this year, in spite of the shocks, economy will basically survive. Economy will just go up and down, but basically overall maintain the level. But unfortunately, this year, a big recession is very likely. And one of the factors is some of these moves US and China make to weaken the other side in preparation for this time frame. That is one factor. The other factor is see Donald Trump's tariff war. People may think that this is just posturing, and then he will just relax in the end. I'm afraid it will be more real this time. Last time it was 95%, whatever Trump said was 95% posturing and 5% actual action. This time there may be 90% action and 10% posturing. So the tariff war will destabilize a very delicate economic equilibrium of the world that is still struggling after the shocks of the pandemic. So world economy will struggle. Most of the countries will basically will be affected by these economic struggles and trade wars, etc. Let's talk about a few specific countries briefly, and then we'll talk about individual moon signs, etc. In US, the polarization, the chaos, and the unrest that we have been seeing for a few years, particularly a few months, are going to mount to unprecedented levels that we have never seen before. So this will be a crazy year for US. And as far as the economy is concerned, as I said earlier, it is likely to be a weak year ahead of us. So be very careful with the stock market, and be extra careful with the stock market in the July and early August time period. This is a really delicate time for US stock market. And people may be taking Democrats for dead right now based on the November election results, but the thing is, we are in a high Vata phase for the world. What I mean is, things change very fast. Somebody who's zero can suddenly go to the top just like that, and then suddenly just like that somebody who's at the top may become a zero. So this is a period when things change very rapidly. This is a high Vata period for the world, And Democrats, even though people may be taking them for granted and they may seem udderless right now, and there will be some morale boosting wins for Democrats in some by-elections during this Vishwa-vasu year. And towards the end of this Vishwa-vasu year, basically early 2026, they will also formulate a clear strategy of taking on Republicans in the November 2026 elections. They will basically, just like Democrats were dubbed as radical left, they will start dubbing Republicans as radical right, and they will find some issues that will resonate with people in dubbing Republicans as radical right. So the Democrats will basically slowly start rising this year. And as far as the employment situation is concerned, it will be mixed. There'll be lot of hiring in some sectors, but also some sectors will really lose a lot of opportunities. So it will be a mixed situation in terms of the employment. And US will be temporarily isolated in the world because of all the tariff wars and some of the aggressive posturing of Donald Trump. But this is just temporarily. This is not a long term thing. As a matter of fact, towards the end of this year, there may be some improvement basically along these lines. When it comes to India, this is unfortunately an up and down year for India. There will be some positives but also some negatives. Bottom line is the economy will continue to struggle along with the whole world. As world economy struggles, India also will be affected this time. And moreover, there will be unexpected geopolitical tensions and developments, unforeseen developments that will distract the Indian policymakers and that will cause problems. And as far as Sri Narendra Modi ji is concerned, March to October is a very positive time for him. So this is a window for aggressive legislative agenda. I expect that some really long-reaching legislative agenda will be passed during this period. But see, Modi ji will be a little weak after October. The coming year is not that good for him. So he will be weak. But the good news for him is the opposition will be weaker. As a matter of fact, during this March-October time period, opposition may be weakened further. Some opposition may be split, and some of the key players from the opposition may join the ruling coalition. So there'll be some political moves made during this period. So though Modi ji will be weaker, the fact that opposition is even weaker will keep him in good stead. Basically, there's no change of government or anything. Modi will be strong compared to the opposition. And as far as opposition leader Sri Rahul Gandhi ji is concerned, for him, June 2023 to June 2024 was the best year for him. That had some chance of becoming the prime minister. He came close, but basically did not happen. And June 2024 to June 2025 is a average to above average year for him. It's not as good as the previous year. And from June 2025 till June 2026 is a terrible year for him. So basically, there's no challenge from the opposition, but Modi ji will face some problems. Possibly some of them are relating to geopolitical developments, and also India may get involved in a war during this year. It's possible. So Indian government should be well prepared basically for a war during this year. It's unlikely that it will be with China. It will be with a smaller country, most likely Pakistan. But the thing is, it is China will try to play an indirect role, but no direct war with China. But some war is possible during this year. So India should be prepared well. Now coming to China, this is a year of serious economic troubles for China. Chinese economy has been struggling, even though they try to keep the news under the wraps for the world outside. There will be serious economic troubles, and particularly from or after October, things will be very problematic for China. And there will be increasing tensions with US over trade, over semiconductors and control of semiconductors and trade of semiconductors, and then Taiwan. So over these areas, the tensions that are simmering with US will really reach a boiling point this year. But overall, within the country, there will be angst and unrest in the country. And they will play a double game with India. They will try to be like, oh, we are your friends and we are all ancient cultures and US is a hegemony. We want to go towards a world that is basically that doesn't have one superpower. We all need to have a say. So like that, basically it will try to appease India, but at the same time it will try to weaken Indian interests in India's neighborhood, in Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, everywhere. It will try to basically choke India from around India. So it will, and also it knows, China knows that in the long term, India and US relationship is here to stay. So when US and China are really at war in future, India will be aligned with US. So China knows that. So it will try to basically weaken India from within as well as from the borders. So it will play a very dangerous double game with India, and people may get carried away. But I hope that Indian leadership will see things as they are, and uh, and hope that they also play a double game very tactfully. As far as Russia is concerned, I mentioned last year that there's no danger to Putin and Putin's grip over Russia will strengthen, and this year it will remain strong. There's no danger to Putin. Putin's grip over Russia will remain strong, and Russia will continue to show some aggression in the Eurasian region. Uh, in spite of the Ukraine war and in spite of some movement towards peace in Ukraine, Russia will continue to posture aggressively towards some of the European countries. And but the thing is, there'll be some economic struggles to Russia. Last year was not that bad, but this year seems worse. There'll be economic struggles along with China and other countries. Russia will continue to struggle, and Russia will play a very clever double game with US and China this year. Uh, US will make some overtures to Russia and seem to be pro-Russia in the Russia-Ukraine peace negotiations. And but the thing is, US will think of US own interests, but Russia will play along, and it will basically pretend to get close to US and use that as a leverage with China, because Russia and China are serious partners for a long time, and Russia depends on China for a lot of things, including economy. So, as a matter of fact, the trade with China is much bigger than the trade with US. So China is a more important partner, but they can use the increasing coziness with US as a leverage in the relations with China. So and again at the same time, basically they can use China as a leverage against US. So they will play a double game by using US and China as leverages against each other. So this is a great year for Putin. If you look at Putin's moon sign, his moon sign is Taurus, and basically the Shashtagraha Kotam that is happening, the sixth planet conjunction in Pisces is in his 11th house of gains. And for the next few months, Saturn and Rahu will be there in the 11th house. So this is a great year, especially the next few months are amazing for Putin. And the Ukraine peace talks, even though people were saying a few weeks back that it's just a couple of days and Ukraine war will be solved, I'm afraid the peace talks may drag on. Putin may intentionally not conclude. He may just drag on and keep buying time. So I don't expect peace instantaneously. I expect that the peace talks will drag on for many months. And now let's come to Ukraine. Ukraine war started when Saturn was very close to the natal moon. So Saturn, who shows sadness, depression, angst, etc., was over their moon who shows mind or collective consciousness. And fortunately for Ukraine, this Sadesati, so Saturn was exactly over moon in Capricorn, then he was in Aquarius for 2.5 years. Now he came to Meena. So Sadesati, the 7.5 years of Saturnine troubles, have ended in March. So a window for relief and peace opened in March with the ending of Sadesati. But based on various factors, my assessment is that the real opportunity for peace is only after August. Until then, it may be talks and more people getting involved and more interest basically being at loggerheads with each other and no real clear deal. There may be some ceasefires, temporary ceasefires, possibly limited ceasefires, but real peace deal is possible only after August. particularly I will expect next February, March, April time period next year 2026 is more likely. But the good thing news is a window of opportunity opened. It was there a few years back, but it closed for a long time. Now it opened again. However, even if there is a peace deal made in the next 1 year or 1.5 years, I'm afraid it may not last. Ukraine may get into conflicts again from 2027 onwards. So basically, there's a 1.5 years of possible window of peace. And also, based on Ukraine's annual charts, a change in leadership is possible for Ukraine in the current year in Vishwa-vasu. Now let us talk about a few neighbors of India. For Pakistan, this is a terrible year with an existential threat. I've been saying for a few years that things will get worse and worse for Pakistan through this decade, and unfortunately, we are entering a terrible period for Pakistan. And Pakistan can get into wars with Afghanistan, and India during this year. That is a possibility. Also, a civil war within Pakistan and the movement towards disintegration may start during this year. Bottom line is, in the rest of this decade, Pakistan has a good chance of splitting into multiple countries, and the process may start this year itself. And for Bangladesh, shunned by US, will move closer to China during this year. So Bangladesh will play that game very tactfully, and they will increase their ties with China and use that as a leverage in their relations with US. And that puts India. That puts India on the back foot. India doesn't want to lose Bangladesh completely to China. So India will play a very careful, cautious, waiting game, but Bangladesh will move closer to China, but without completely distancing from India and angering India, basically. So it will be a delicate balancing act Bangladesh will do between India and China during this year. And unfortunately, a major natural disaster is possible in Vishwa-vasu for Bangladesh. And also a change of leadership is possible. Not a total change of direction. So it may not be like Mr. Yunus will completely lose control, but the thing is, he may install somebody else and he may be behind the scenes or something like that. But some change of leadership seems likely from the annual chart, but they will have some clear direction to contain India and to become closer to China. And as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, they got close to China. China used Sri Lanka in the past, but the relations with India will improve during this year. So slowly, Sri Lanka is coming back from China to India, and that will continue. And the economy that has been stabilizing for the last year or so will unfortunately be hit by the global turmoil, and that will not be good for Sri Lanka. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, they may promote militancy in southwest China, I think it's called Tianjin province of China. So in that province, some Islamic terrorism may basically be planted by Afghanistan during this year, during Taliban. So some tensions with China may develop during this year, and also a war with Pakistan is possible for Afghanistan. For Nepal, there will be increasing political unrest during the first half of this year, and a change of leadership is likely during this year. The change of leadership and change of direction for the country is possible, and Nepal may move closer to India during this year. So again, Nepal is another country that China has been mucking with. They are basically trying to move them away from India, but this may be the year when Nepal moves a little closer to India as a result of change of leadership. And in Bhutan is a relatively peaceful country, but some unexpected setbacks are possible during this year for Bhutan. And this is an unusually turbulent year for the peaceful Himalayan country, and they may unfortunately get caught in the China-India Cold War as Nepal and Sri Lanka start changing direction, and Bangladesh basically moves closer to China. China may eye Bhutan, and they may be caught in the China-India manipulations. Now let's talk about Middle East. Iran, the the indirect military confrontations that Israel has been having with Israel through their proxies over the last few years, they may expand during this year. And actually, as a matter of fact, a direct confrontation with Israel is also possible during this year. But both the sides may succeed in containing it quickly, but it is possible during this year. But in general, Iran will be the epicenter of lot of turbulence in the Middle East during this year. And as far as Israel is concerned, as I said earlier, the war will continue and expand, and any ceasefires that we may see in future, like the one that we saw a couple of months back, are likely to be only temporary. And there will be heightened political unrest, but I expect that Netanyahu will survive all the unrest, and he will basically keep promoting wars. And in Saudi Arabia, another big player in the Middle East, the iron grip of MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, will continue during this year, and the reforms that he has initiated will continue during this year. And I expect that during this year, based on the annual charts, the global stature of Saudi Arabia will really increase. So any international negotiations, Saudi Arabia will be a key player. So there will be a lot of international recognition for what is happening in Saudi Arabia. So MBS will make really smart moves to make Saudi Arabia a key player, not only in the Middle East, but in the larger Eurasia as well as the world. And in Europe, overall in Europe during this year, the anti-Muslim narrative and anti-Muslim sentiment will spread during this year. Basically, limited, isolated incidents will be played up in the common narrative, and that will basically create an anti-Muslim sentiment in many of the European countries, and this will strengthen the far-right parties across Europe during this year. And the other key factor about Europe during this year is they will be seemingly cozying up to China amid tensions with US. As I said earlier, China will want to separate the Europe from the Western alliance, and they will try to create fissures between US and Europe. So they will make some overtures to basically, especially related to trade, etc., some overtures towards China. But the thing is, all this will be a temporary, short-term thing over the next few years, couple of years, really. And in UK, the economic troubles will really become severe towards the end of 2025. I don't see any danger to Mr. Starmer, the Prime Minister, his government, but basically some economic troubles will have long-term impact on the stability of his government. But in this year, what we will see is economic troubles, basically. No political reactions will be later next year, but this year, especially towards the end of 2025, there will be severe economic troubles in UK. And as far as France and Germany are concerned, the political churn in the countries will continue. The far right will continue to rise in these two countries. They have been rising for a while, and they just come close but never come to power, and that will continue, but their rise will continue. They won't be in power, but their rise will continue. And there will be economic struggles as a result of all this tariff war and various economic downturns across the world. France and Germany also will have some severe economic struggles during this year. Japan will face severe economic troubles towards the end of 2025, and there will be increasing tensions with China. And the same with Australia. Australia will face increasing tensions with China. The South China Sea will become the theater of lot of drama, lot of political military drama during this year, and Japan and Australia will be under angst in terms of the military establishment, not normal people. And in Canada, as far as Canada is concerned, it is not becoming the 51st state of US or something like that. Whatever has been mentioned is just rhetoric. Canada will remain an independent country, and as a matter of fact, the US posture towards Canada and belittling of Canada, it will be a uniting issue at the 2025 April elections, the snap elections in Canada. and there is a good chance that the post-Trudeau liberal government will survive after the elections. They will remain. There is a good chance. But the thing is, one important point to make is, in Trudeau's chart, there are really terrible transits for the next few years. But having moved on from Trudeau, post Trudeau, there should be some stability in Canada. And also, as far as all this tariff war and the rhetoric of taking over Canada, occupying Canada, etc., is concerned, this will basically lead to nothing. There will be some reconciliation with US post-election after the April 2025 election. Mid this year, or more likely the second half of this year, there will be some clear reconciliation with US. So I don't really see US and Canada being adversaries for a long time. It is basically just a temporary thing. US Canada will be fine going forward. So these are my high level assessments for various countries for the coming 12 months in this lunar year of Vishwa-vasu. Now I'll do some standard things that are done as a part of Panchanga Sravanam. Panchanga Sravanam means listening to the Panchanga. There are 5 limbs of time. So you every day, at every time, you have a tithi, you have a vara, you have a nakshatra or moon star, and yoga and karna. These are called panchangas. Panchanga means 5 limbs of time. And as the classics say, tithe sriyamapnoti varad ayushyavardhanam nakshatrat harate papam yogad roga nivaranam karanat karyasiddhischa panchangasya phalam tvidam. From what it means is, from tithi you see the prosperity, it shows the water element. Vara or weekday shows the fire element, you see the longevity from it. Nakshatra or star shows the air element, and you see basically how the sins are removed from it, sins accumulating and removing sins from nakshatra. And yoga shows overcoming diseases. It is basically your space element. So your inherent strength, basically space is what is inherently within you. So your inherent strength and your immunity, etc. So overcoming diseases, yoga is important. And karana is associated with earth element, and it shows success in your undertakings. And some people think that if you read the panchanga of the day when you are doing something important, then basically you will get all these results. But what it really means is, you pick a good muhurta, good time for your activity, so that you basically are aligning these energies with your horoscope. That's really the bottom line. Now there are some Navanayakas or Upanayakas given in the Panchangas. These are the planetary cabinet for the year. The king is either Sun or Saturn. For US, it is Saturn, and for India, you can take it as Sun, because even though the New Year actually started on Saturday, at the time of the next sunrise, when it is celebrated, it is Sun. So some people, mainstream takes it as Sun. It is debatable, but the thing is, that is the convention. So the king being Sun or Saturn, both of them are malefic planets. So king being Saturn means rulers will be very jealous, very selfish, etc. And if the king is Sun, rulers will be very angry and boastful, prideful, and fighting with others. But the bottom line is, the king is not favorable during this year. So rulers will not be calm and gentle, but they will be cruel, and they will be harsh. And minister for the year is moon. It basically shows that the ones who are counseling the kings, the secretaries, ministers, bureaucracy, etc., people who are counseling the kings and giving advice, they'll not be harsh and hasty, but at the same time they'll be a little fickle minded. And army chief is Sun, so those who are basically controlling the armies will be very aggressive, and they feel very overconfident during this year. And agriculture is controlled by Sasyadhipati. Sasyadhipati is Jupiter. So for agriculture, this is overall a very good year. He is a Shubhagraha. And for grains, Dhanyadhipati is Mars. Dhanjadipati being Mars means various grains will be in short supply, and it's basically, so though I said agriculture, for agriculture it is good, for various grains, pulses, etc., this is not a good year. And Arghadipati is Sun. Argha means prices. So various things will cost more during this year. He's a harsh planet. He's a papagraha, or rather, correct word is kruragraha. So he's a cruel planet. So the prices will be high during this year, which means the inflation will continue to be a problem for the world. And for rains, Meghadipati is Sun. So rains will also be not very regular during this year. Rains will be on and off, and there will be some problems relating to rainfall and water. And for Rasadipati it is Saturn. For Nirasadipati it is Buddha. And Rasadipati basically shows various non-dry commodities and how the markets are in general. Not the commodities market, not the dry commodities, but the non-dry commodities like fruits, various vegetables, fruits, ghee, that oils, etc. So because the planet is Saturn, the the prices will be what the standard result is. The non-dry commodities that are basically relating to Saturn will do well during this year. For example, petroleum, oils, various kinds of oils, those will do well during this year. And for dry commodities, it is Buddha. So things like gold, jewels, etc., they, because Buddha is a Shubhagraha, and also he is the planet, he is the mercantile planet. So various gold, silver, various precious metals, and various gems, etc., it is a great year for them. They will do well during this year. The priest for this year is Buddha. So the priest that you deal with, the Purohita is Buddha. So the priest that you deal with will be very, they will have a lot of laukyam, lot of worldly street smarts. They'll be worldly wise, and they will get along well. And the examiner is Mars, Parikshaka is Mars. So Mercury. Parikshaka or examiner is Mercury. So exam papers will be set very smartly and in a pragmatic manner. And the accountant or Ganaka is Shukra. So the people who are into accounting, who are basically doing taxes, etc., Venus is a Shubhagraha, so they will basically do their job well, but also Venus is a Rajasic Graha, so they will do their job well, but they will demand more money. And the local ruler, the Gramapalaka is, Gramanayaka is Mars, so at the local level, the leaders will be very aggressive during this year. And Daivagna for this year, astrologer, is Shani. So astrologers will get a lot of predictions wrong during this year. Basically, this is not a great year for astrologers. So whatever I told you, take it with a pinch of salt. And just one disclaimer: some of these are calculated based on some abstract concepts, and some of these ideas are questionable, so they don't apply as they are. I'm just mentioning them for completeness, basically. Ashwadhipati is Surya, Gajadhipati is Mercury. So Ashwa means horse, Gaja means elephant, and horse stands for standard vehicles and elephant stands for luxury vehicles. So for standard vehicles, because he's a malefic planet, he's a cruel planet, Krura Graha, the prices will go up for various vehicles. And for luxury vehicles, the planet is Buddha, so the prices will go well, but basically they will be still desirable. They will put enough features in them to make them desirable. So overall, the vehicular market will struggle, but the luxury vehicle market, because of the pragmatic nature of the makers, will do well during this year. And Pashunam Adhipati is Sun. So animals, this is not a good year for animals. And gods are controlled by Buddha. Devadhipati is Buddha. So gods will give results. Gods will be very pragmatic. They will give results if you pray to them during this year. And Naradhipati is Surya, and Strinam Adhipati is also Surya. So for men and women, the ruler is Sun. So basically, this is not a great year for men and women, and they will be very proud and aggressive and strong-willed, and there will be conflicts basically. Vastrajapati is Shukra, so a lot of beautiful clothes with various nice designs will be available during this year. This is a good year for the textile industry. And Ratnadhipati is Sun for gems. So this is a year when basically gems will be very pricey. And for trees, Vrikshadhipati is Kuja, Mars. So Vriksha literally means environment. So for the ruler of environment is Mars. He is a cruel planet, cruel graha. So this is a bad year for environmental protection, etc. And for business, for Vanija in the world, in the country, in the world, it is Shani. So business will struggle basically. Business will be stagnant and lethargic during this year. Saturn is the planet of lethargy, really, going slowly. And Sarvadeshojogapati is Sun. Surya is basically a malefic planet, but also he is the planet of authority. So some positions with lot of authority, it is good for them, but overall, lot of overall employment, this is not really a good year. And cowhead for this year, Pashupalaka is Yama. So this is a bad year for domestic animals. So overall, these are the standard results. Let's move on to key transits. On May 9th, Jupiter moves from Taurus to Gemini, and again from Gemini to Cancer he will move on October 6th, just a few months later. And again he will become retrograde and start moving backward, and on December 17th he goes back to Gemini. So as you can see, Jupiter is in 3 different signs during this year. So Jupiter is in Atichara during this year. Atichara means basically going just too fast. And what does it mean? Jupiter, different planets are personifications of different aspects of our consciousness. And Jupiter personifies our Dhisakti, our intellect. That is why he is the teacher of gods. Gods are personifications of various good qualities within us. And Jupiter is working towards the victory of gods. Brahaspati in the skies is always supporting the Deva. Similarly, our intellect and our wisdom and our discretion is always working to make us better, to increase the good qualities in us. So he is the personification of our Dhisakti. And in the universe, he is the personification of collective intellect, collective wisdom. And he being in Atijara means he can't focus. When you are calm, when you are relaxed, and when you are looking at something, you can understand it clearly. When you are running past something and see it, you can't process it well. So when you are moving too fast, you can't focus, you can't do your job well. So when Jupiter is in Atichara, it's not good for the world. Basically, the collective wisdom will make some stupid decisions. Basically, world will be little dumb during this year. So that is a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I think in 2019, 2020, we had something like this. That is when the pandemic came. Of course, it won't be a pandemic this time, but some dumb things will be done by people in power during this year, and collectively by the world. And Saturn will move from Aquarius to Pisces. Actually, he moved already. I'm mentioning it because it is just before the Panchanga Shravanam. He moved from Aquarius to Pisces on March 20. Some people may take it as 29, but it's really 20. So these are the key transits. And on that day, basically, you can pray to that planet for the transit being good for you. And on 2025, June 11, Rahu will move from Pisces to Aquarius, and Ketu will move from Virgo to Leo, from Meena to Kumbha, from Kanya to Simha. And what it means for various rasis, we'll cover later. But on these dates, you can pray. Now, I will mention a few other associations. When two planets are exactly together, are exactly 180 degrees from each other, looking at each other, those planets will activate each other. They basically, their synergy will be maximized during that time. So whatever they show together will be accentuated. So there is a Saturn Rahu Yuti on 21. I mean, even right now they are close within a few degrees, But on April 21, they will be exactly at the same longitude at 3 degree 46 minutes in Pisces. So if you have any planets near this longitude or opposite this in 3 degrees 46 minutes in Virgo, be careful. That planet may be activated by the energies of Saturn and Rahu. And Saturn and Rahu are both Vata planets. So Vata planets will increase your Vata in your system, make you anxious, worried, etc. So around this time, a couple of weeks before and after, it's good to pray to Shani and Rahu or to Durga Devi. There is a Mars Ketu conjunction. This is a fiery planet and this is an explosive planet. This is on July 20, 2025, and this is at 26 degree 34 minutes in Leo, and this is a really explosive time for the world. Some crazy things can happen in the world, like start of a new war, some military action, and some aggressive move by somebody. So this is if you remember, I said that July is a really bad time for stock market, and this may be one of the reasons, though not the only. And Saturn Mars Samasaptaka will happen on August 8 at 8 degree 50 minutes in Pisces and Virgo. One planet, Saturn Saturn in Pisces, Mars in Virgo. So Saturn is the slow planet, Mars is the aggressive planet. So blue and red fighting with each other. So this is these kind of times are crazy. So at these times, basically some long suppressed urge of the world towards aggression may suddenly come up. It may be either contained if Saturn is stronger, or it may just result in some explosive thing if Mars is strong. But in your own chart, if there are any planets around these degrees, you have to be careful. So pray to Hanuman during this time. And here for Mars and Ketu, you can pray to Ganapati or Subramanya. And on September 10th, Sun and Ketu will be exactly together at 25 degree 50 minutes in Leo. So again, if you have some planets around this in your chart, natal chart, you have to be careful. And this can be a problematic time, but also a possible time of spiritual progress. And there will be a Saturn Sun conjunction, Samasaptaka, their opposition, on September 21 at 5 degree 25 minutes in Pisces and Virgo. So Saturn and Sun, even though they are father and son, they are enemies of each other. Sun shows confidence and Saturn shows humility and lack of confidence. So this triggers some contradictory energy. So this is a very problematic time, and usually these times result in political turbulence. So, and if you have any planets here, be careful. And Sun Rahu conjunction will happen next year on February 27 at 15 degree 53 minutes in Aquarius. So this again can be a politically very dangerous time. There can be some big scandals, etc. So, and if you have any planets here, you can get in some scandals. So be careful around that time. And there will be a Mars Rahu conjunction. Mars shows fire and Rahu shows air. So when they come and Mars shows aggression, Rahu shows machinations. So when they come together, it's again a very problematic time for the world. So March 13 of next year, around the same longitude. So be careful. And Saturn Sun conjunction, which can cause some political instabilities and turbulence. This is on March 25, just before the coming new year. And this is at around 11 degree 38 minutes in Pisces. So these are times to be careful. And another thing, planets keep moving forward and backward when viewed from Earth. With respect to Sun, they are going around one way. But when looked from Earth, because Earth is also going around and planets are also going around, planets may seem to be going forward sometime and going backward sometime, etc. with respect to Earth. And the time when they transition, they achieve zero speed. Going forward, reach zero speed and then start going backward. Or going backward, stop and then start going backward. When they become stationary, it is a very powerful time. So planets who are going forward are akin to somebody who's Rajasic, and planets going backward are akin to somebody who's Tamasic. Tamasic means lot of Ichha Shakti, Rajasic means lot of Kriya Shakti, and when somebody is stationary, a planet is stationary, it is akin to a person who's in a state of Sattva, basically lot of Gnana Shakti instead of Kriya Shakti and Ichha Shakti. So you have a lot of clarity. So when a stationary planet is very close to some natal position in your chart or aspecting some natal position in your chart, that can be activated and some major events relating to that can happen. So this is a very highly focused Jupiter. So wherever he is, he puts all his energy into that location, and wherever he is aspecting from that location. So if you have any key planets around these longitudes and around these dates, plus minus 3 weeks or so, you can basically expect some key events relating to that area, and you can basically do some prayers, extra prayers during that period. So Jupiter is stationary on November 11th, 2025. He basically, after going far in Cancer, he turns backward. And Jupiter is again stationary next year on March 10th at 22 degree Gemini. So after coming back to Gemini and going up to 22 degrees, he starts going forward again. And Saturn will be stationary on July 12th of this year at around 9 degrees Pisces, 8 degree 51 minutes Pisces. So he will start going backward then, and he comes back to 2 degree 4 minutes Pisces and starts going forward again on November 27. So this is another date when Saturn is stationary. So if you have any planet within 4-5 degrees from these longitudes, you can expect some key events, and you can pray to these planets and the planet that is being triggered in the natal chart to make sure that the good is accentuated and the bad is suppressed. Then combustion are also known as Maudhyam, when a planet becomes too close to Sun. Guru Maudhyam is from June 9th to July 10th. He is Paschad Astamita. He is basically setting in the west. And Shukra Maudhyam of Venus is from November 27 to February 16 of next year. He will be Prag Astamita. He will be setting in the east. So these Maudhyam times are usually avoided for any major activities. But my 2 cents is, Sun and Venus are enemies, but Sun and Jupiter are friends. So if Jupiter is close to Sun, he may be combust. Basically, when a planet is too close to the burning Sun, you can't see them well, but they are still friends. And Jupiter is the minister and Sun is the king. So their being too close is not that bad. So for various activities, Gurmodhyam can be considered, whereas Shukramodhyam may be problematic. But again, remember that Modhyam is just one of the factors. When you set a Muhurtam, there are a lot of factors. So don't go just by Modhyam. Now Pushkaras. There are Pushkaras of Saraswati River this year, and by mainstream, because mainstream uses Lahiri Ainamsa, which was standardized by a bureaucrat friend of Nehru, who headed a committee to standardize festival calculations. So based on that Ainamsa standardized by Lahiri, it is May 14. So because everybody uses that stupid Ainamsa, it is celebrated on May 14. But the real date, if you use the Pushyapaksha Ainamsa derived based on classics, the real date is May 9th, 5 days earlier. So, but the bottom line is it is in May second week, and it is for the Saraswati River. And there is a total lunar eclipse on September 7th of this year. It is from 12:27 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time till 3:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Of course, it is daytime in US, so you can't see it in US, but it will be visible in India. So in India time will be night 9:57 p.m. to 2:27 6 a.m. on the next day, and this is on September 7 to September 8. And people of Purabhadra Nakshatra, Purphalguni Nakshatra, Kumbharasi and Simharasi have to be extra careful during this time. And there is another total lunar eclipse on March 3rd of next year, and this is just before, just at the end of the night, from 5:50 a.m. till 9:17 a.m. in Eastern Daylight Saving Time in US. Oh, actually, it may be Eastern Standard Time. And the Purphalguni Nakshatra, Sathapishak Nakshatra, Simharasi and Kumbharasi will be affected. And so this will be visible around the time of moonset in US and around the time of moon rise in India. So this is an interesting total lunar eclipse, and this may be an important one. There is a partial solar eclipse on September 21. So one point is, eclipses are not good times for dharma, but they are good times for kama and moksha. So temples are closed then, but basically doing any sadhana to fulfill desires as well as to do sadhana to overcome desires. For that, eclipses are a good time. And lunar eclipse is effective if it is visible where you are, but solar eclipse is effective no matter where you live. Basically, like minds which are nearby can affect your mind, resonate with your mind, but a soul can resonate with your soul from any distance. Soul is all pervading, whereas mind is not. So that's the rationale behind it. So irrespective of where you live, you can do some sadhana during this time. On 2025 September 21, it is from 1:30 p.m. to 5:53 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time in US, and in India it will basically be night 11 p.m. to 3:23 a.m. So it will not be visible in India, but you can basically still do some sadhana. And there will be and this will be particularly impactful for Uttar Phalguni Nakshatra, Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, Kanya Rasi, and Simha Rasi. And there will be an annular solar eclipse next year on February 17, and this is from 5:57 a.m. to 10:27 a.m. in Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Actually, again, it should be probably EST. Yeah, EST, Eastern Standard Time in US, and it will be 3:27 p.m. to 7:57 p.m. in India. So this will affect Dhanishta, Satabhishak, and Nakshatras as well as Kumbha Rasi. Now, I will give some standard results based on moon sign, moon star, etc. And one disclaimer that I always mention: the readings based on moon sign and moon star are not reliable, and there aren't just 12 or 27 or 28 different fortunes. So we know that even twins who are born 2-3 minutes apart, who have the same moon sign, moon star, and maybe even rising sign, etc., they can have vastly different fortunes. So Jyotish has macro aspects as well as micro aspects, and these macro aspects basically are so that we can give guidance to masses at a time. So that is these are all macro aspects that I am covering now. So take them with a pinch of salt. Your own horoscope can completely modify this. So this may or may not apply. This is just a very long-term harmonic, very generic macro level harmonic, and this may be highly modified. So I will give you the Adayam, Vyayam, and Rajapujyam and Avamanam numbers. Adayam means income, Vyayam means expense, Rajapujyam means respect in the society, and Avamanam means insult in the society. I'll give these for various Janmarasis, and you can find your Janmarasi from an astrology software. For example, you can download Jagannath Hora from vedicastrology.org/jhora/jh, and you can download Jagannath Hora, and you can find your moon sign, etc. So your for Aries or Meshrasi people, which is Ashwini, Bharani, and Kritika first padam, Adayam 2, Vyayam 14, Rajapujyam 5, Avamanam 7. For Taurus or Vrishabha people, which is Kritika second, third, and fourth padam, Rohini, Mrugasara first and second padam, Adayam 11, Vyayam 5, Rajapujyam 1, Avamanam 3. Gemini or Mithun Rasi people, Mrugasara third and fourth padam, Ardra, Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 padams. For them, Adayam 14, Vyayam 2, Rajapujyam 4, Avamanam 3. For Karkarasi people, which is Punarvasu 4th padam, Pushyami, and Asirasha, Adayam 8, Vyayam 2, Rajapujyam 7, Avamanam 3. For Leo or Simharasi people, which is Magha, Purva Phalguni, and Uttar Phalguni first padam, Adayam and Vyayam are both 11, Rajapujyam is 3, and Avamanam is 6. For Virgo or Kanjarasi people, which is Uttar Phalguni second, third, and fourth padam, Hasta and Chitra first and second padam. For them, Adayam is 14, Vyayam is only 2, Rajapujyam and Avamanam are both 6. For Tula or Chitra third and Tula or Libra sign, Chitra third and fourth padam, Swati and Visakha first, second, and third padam. For them, no, sorry, Visakha just, oh yeah, that's right. So Libra or Tula Rasi, which is Chitra third and fourth padam, Swati Nakshatram, and then also Visakha 1, 2, and 3 padas. For them, it is 11 Adayam, Vyayam 5, Rajapujyam and Avamanam are both 2. For Vrishchika Rasi or Scorpio moon sign people, which is Visakha 4th Padam, Anuradha and Jyeshtha, for them Adayam is 2, Vyayam is 14, Rajapujyam is 5, Avamanam is 2. For Sagittarius or Dhanurasi people, which is Mola, Purvashadha, Uttarashadha 1st Padam, for them Adayam is 5, Vyayam is also 5, Rajapujyam is 1, Avamanam is 5. For Capricorn or Makar Rasi people, which is Uttarashadha 2nd, 3rd and 4th Padam, Shravanam and Dhanishta 1st and 2nd Padam. For them 8 is the Adayam, 14 is the Vyayam, 4 and 5 are the Rajapujyam and Avamanam respectively. For Kumbha Rasi or Aquarius moon sign people, which is Dhanishta 3rd and 4th Padam, Satabhishak and Purvabhadra 1st, 2nd and 3rd Padam. For them Adayam is 8, Vyayam is 14, Rajapujyam is 7, Avamanam is only 5. For Pisces or Mean Rasi people, which is Purvabhadra 4th Padam, Uttarabhadra and Revati, Adayam and Vyayam are both 5, Rajapujyam is 3, Avamanam is only 1. Now Kandaya Phalas. So I will give some numbers, 3 numbers for each nakshatra. Some people what they do is they use the first number for the first 4 months, second number for the next 4 months, third number for the next 4 months. But the real way you need to use is use number 1 for body, number from the star of Lagna in your chart, number 2 from the star of moon in your chart for seeing things relating to mind, and then the number 3 this number in the third column for things relating spiritual things, basically the innermost things from the star of sun. So what you should do is see the star of Lagna. Suppose your Lagna is in Rohini, so see the first column for Rohini. Suppose your moon is in Ardra, so see the second column for Ardra. So this number for relating to mind. And suppose your sun is in Ashwini, so third column Ashwini basically. So this is the number for sun, and you see things relating to soul. And the results are, if it is an odd number, it is good. If it is even number, it is average, moderate. If it is 0, it is bad. So that is how you judge the numbers. And if it is for the first column for body, then basically it shows physical things. So if it is good or bad, it can be good health, ill health, etc. If it is mind, it shows mind being stable and anxious. If it is soul, it just basically soul is what supports mind and body. So if you have 0 for soul, it means basically you feel totally lost. So the numbers: Ashwini 301, Bharani 614, Kartika 122, Rohini 400, Mrigasira 713, Ardra 221, Punarvasu 504, Pushya or Pushyami 012, Ashlesha or Ashlesha 320, Magha 603, Purva Phalguni 111, Uttara Phalguni 424, Hasta 702, Chitra 210, Swati 523, Vishakha 001, Anuradha 314, Jyeshtha 622, Moola 100, Purvashadha 413, Uttarashadha 721, Shravanam 204, Dhanishta or Sravishta 512, Satabhishak 020, Purvabhadra 303, Uttarabhadra 611, Revati 124. These are the numbers. And you can see from your stars of Lagna, moon and sun. If you don't know them, just use your moon sign and see all the 3 numbers and take the average. Now this is based on the Sarvadobhadra Chakra, where you have 7 nakshatras on each side of the square. So there are 4 nakshatras that get the same result. Ashwini, Pushya, Swati and Abhijit. The results are Dhanalabham, Arthalabham or financial gains. Bharani, Ashlesha, Vishakha, Shravanam. The results are Manastapam, mental worries. Kartika, Magha, Anuradha, Dhanishta. The result is respect in society, Rajapujyam. Rohini, Puraphalguni, Jyeshtha, Shatabhishak. The results are quarrels, Kalaham. Mrigasira, Uttaraphalguni, Moola, Purabhadra. The results are Bhushanam or Abharanam, jewelry. Ardra, Hasta, Purvashadha, Uttarabhadra. The results are Anarogyam, health problems. Punarvasu, Chitra, Uttarashada, Revati. The results are good health, Arogyam. Now, the last portion of this Panchanga Shravanam. I will quickly go through each Janma Rasi, each moon sign, and I will mention which are the transits of slow moving planets, because Sun, Mars, Venus, Mercury move very fast. Within a year, they cover the whole zodiac, and Moon covers the whole zodiac within a month. So they move too fast. But we can focus on Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu, who move very slowly. See where they are during the year, and highlight particularly good or particularly bad transits and suggest some remedies. And a few quick words. These may be familiar to those who saw my previous videos, but I'll just mention them quickly again. It is more useful to worship a devata that one can feel some attachment to, rather than the devata that I mentioned. So suppose I say Chandi, Durga. If you are, for example, a Vaishnava, you can find some equivalent. Basically, you can find an Ugra form of Vishnu. So like that, basically, it is more important to worship a devata that you have some attachment to. Then you will have some bhava, which is very important when you're praying, when you're begging God to give you results. And then you can use small mantras as well as long prayers. You can do Om Dum Durgaya Namaha, or Om Hrim Dum Durgaya Namaha, or chant Durga Saptashloki, which is 7 slokas for Durga, or Durga Saptasati, which is 700 verses of Durga. All of them are equally effective. Some people say that this is better, this is worse. This is all our idiotic thinking of Kali Yuga. Rishis gave multiple options, not because of superiority, inferiority, because people have different taste, they have different aptitude. So based on your ability and based on your taste, you pick what works for you. A general thumb rule is, if you have good focus, you take something small, something short, and you just keep your back, neck and head straight, keep eyes closed. Imagine that God is around you or within you or in front of you and is blessing you. He or she is blessing you, and you just keep chanting that mantra and try to forget your other thoughts. Focus the mind, try to have a single-minded focus on that mantra. So, but the thing is, if you don't have good focus and your mind is thinking of a lot of things, if you start chanting a small mantra, it may deviate. If you take something long like Vishwa-vasu Stotram or Durga Saptashati or Lalita Sahasranama Stotram, it is like, because you have to keep track of where you are, so there is some anchor to the mind that is unstable by nature. So you figure out what is working better for you, where you are able to focus a little better. And you can have a count. You can say, I'll do this mantra 108 times, or you can just have a duration. Suppose you have 10 minutes of free time and you want to chant Om Dum Durgaya Namaha. You chant it, you put an alarm for 10 minutes and you just chant, instead of trying to keep count and making the count, because counts put pressure on you and people tend to chant fast and they don't enjoy it sometimes. So instead of basically doing it mechanically, it's better to do with a feeling and pronounce each letter correctly and feel something in your mind when you're chanting. So not having counts and basically having a duration may help with that. And then if you do it mechanically also, it will have some impact. But if you do it with enjoyment, it is more beneficial. But of course, it is difficult to get enjoyment. You may start something mechanically by force, but hopefully if it is something your mind has some resonance with, you will develop some enjoyment as you go on. If not, maybe you should change what you are doing. And then some people ask, how do remedies work? Do they work at all, etc.? Remedies do work. They can work. They are not guaranteed to work, but they can work. So you are basically begging God to give you results, and you are using the prayer as a proxy to focus your mind so that you are thinking of God. So they have the potential. You are doing a new karma. So this alters your karmic pipeline. So this has the potential to burn some karma that you have done in the past, or postpone the result of a karma that you have done in the past. Like if there is a tube and you are throwing balls and balls come out of it, if you throw a powerful ball, it may come ahead of other balls. It may even push other balls back, basically, because of the interaction. So the thing is, some karmas may get delayed, some karmas may be completely avoided. But even in the worst case, Suppose none of that is happening. Still, you are basically engaging in, you are creating a positive state of mind. So you will not commit bad karmas from now onwards. If your mind is stable, whatever bad is happening to you, the person who's doing it to you is the agent of delivering the fruits of your own bad karmas. If that person does it with identification, that will become karma for that person, but that is that person's problem. As far as you are concerned, somebody is doing it to you because you did it something in the past, and this is the fruit given by nature to your own karma, and this is the agent picked by nature to deliver the fruit of your karma. So but the thing is, we resent it, we try to fight, we basically think bad of that person. So what happens is, in the process of getting the fruits of our karmas, we commit new bad karmas. So this is a vicious cycle. So at least if you are not postponing your previous karmas, and if you are not burning previous karmas, you are at least creating a state of mind where you commit good karmas now. And one more thing is, no karma goes waste. So any prayer, if not now, in the future, it is accumulating as good karma. So your karmic pipeline is getting some good karma, and it is getting cleaned up. So praying, whether or not you see instant results, is beneficial. It will help you. Exactly how depends on various factors. So it is tough to say exactly how, but it does help you. For sure, irrespective of which kind of prayer you are doing, which god, which prayer, etc. And one small word here, some people threaten that if you don't do things correctly, the bad things can happen, etc. But the thing is, that is really for doing some karmas and some prayogas for specific results, like attracting somebody, destroying somebody. If you are doing with such results in mind, then basically not doing it right can have negative impact on you. But the thing is, most of the prayers we are doing are not like some contractual obligation being forced on God. With some of the procedures that exist, some of the prayogas, it is like a great soul has created a contract with God. If somebody does this so and so thing, so and so times with so and so material, you are giving this result. Some great yogi or rishi created a contract with God, and you are benefiting from that contract. But the thing is, most of those things have been corrupted intentionally by rishis and Shiva before Kali Yuga. So most of such knowledge has gone away, and people who pretend that they know some things are most likely exploiting. So it is better to stay away from that and just beg God. So most prayers that people do are like begging God. So when you are begging, there is no negative impact. It is only good karma. Okay, for Mesharasi people, you can see that Guru is in the Dhanasthanam as a Lohamurti till May 9th, and between October 6th and December 17th, he is in Sukhasthanam as a Lohamurti. So these two are really good transits. So if you worship Sadashiva or Brihaspati directly or Dattatreya, it can accentuate those results, because he is an iron form. The good result that he wants to give, he may not be giving it fully. Basically, he holds back. So with prayers, he can give you money in this period till May 9th, and he can give you some sukha between October and December. And Sade Sati is running. Saturn is in the 12th house. So you are in the first 1/3 of Sade Sati, and this is a really problematic period because he is also Lohamurti. So he is in a bad house and he is a Lohamurti. So it is very, very useful to worship Shani directly, to do a regular Shani Homa, especially on Shanivaras, Saturdays, or to do Mrutyunjaya mantra. It is very beneficial to do so. It can contain the bad results to some extent. And Rahu is also in the 12th house till June 11, but after June 11 he will be in the 11th house of gains. So he can give you labham, he can give you material gains, but he is a Lohamurti, so you may need to propitiate. So if you worship Durga after June 11, there can be some financial gains. And Ketu, he is in the 6th house till June 11, and this is a very good house. He is a Rajatamurti, silver form. So even without prayers, he will give you good results. But if you worship Ganapati, you will be able to overcome your obstacles better. You will be able to vanquish your enemies better with worship of Ganapati. And after June 11, if you are facing some problems relating to children, it is possible that it is because of Ketu in the 5th house. Children are acting crazy, children are making mistakes in life. So worshipping Ganapati can be good for your children after June 11. For Vrishabha Rasi people, between May 9th and October 6th, as well as after December 17, Jupiter will be in the 2nd house of Dhanasthanam. So he can give you a lot of wealth. But he's a Rajatamurti in this period, May 9 to October 6, and he's a copper form after December 17. So with worship, particularly as a copper form, he won't give results easily. Silver form, he will give some results easily. So it is very beneficial to worship Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti or Sadashiva or Jupiter directly, Brihaspati directly during this year. And during this whole year, Saturn will be in the 11th house of gains. But he's a copper form. So iron form doesn't give results. Copper form gives little result. Copper form gives very little result. Silver form gives a little more result. Golden form will give you full result. So that's basically how you interpret. So because he's a copper form, the gains may not be coming. So for this Saturn in the 11th house, I recommend doing Vishwa-vasu Stotram or any prayer of Venkateswara Swami, Balaji. That will give you a lot of financial gains. Until June 11, Rahu is in the 11th house, so he may already be giving gains being a Rajatamurti, silver form. But otherwise, worshipping Durga till June 11 can also help you with the material gains. And if your career is experiencing some slowdown after June 11, it may be because of Rahu in the 10th house of career, that too as a copper form. So, any setbacks in career, for that after June 11, worship Durga. And if any children related problems are being experienced, worship Ketu or Ganapati till June 11. And after June 11, if there are any, if you feel any sukhalopa, like you don't feel comfortable in life, you feel lost, or your mother is having some problems, or your house, your residence or property is having problems, that may be because of Ketu in the 4th house. And also he is a copper form, so problems are possible. So worship Ganapati for that. Now, oops, I missed the forms here. My bad, sorry. For Mithuna Rasi people, let me quickly get something. Okay, I had a blank slide. So in the next slide, I did have the forms. So for Mithun Rasi people, Jupiter will be in the 2nd house of wealth during October 6 to December 17. So for financial gains, there is a window of opportunity, and worshipping Jupiter or Sadashiva, Dakshinamurti or Dattatreya can be helpful. But more importantly, between May 9 and October 6 and after December 17, he is in Janma Rasi. Janma Guru is not good. He gives all kinds of problems. And he is also Lohamurti in the May 9 to October 6 period. So in this period, it may be even more important to worship Dakshinamurti or Dattatreya. And if you are experiencing any slowdown in career, it may be because of Saturn or Rahu. So Saturn is golden form, so it's not that bad. But worshipping Vishwa-vasu Stotram can be useful. And for Rahu, if it has been happening for several months, it may be because of Rahu in the 10th house of career. So worship Durga. That can give you some relief relating to career. And after June 11, if there are any problems relating to father or boss at work, it may be because of Rahu in the 9th house. So worship Durga for that. And if your mother or real estate or house or vehicle related problems are there, it may be because of Ketu in the 4th house as a Tamramurti, as a copper form. So for that, I suggest worshipping Ganesha till June 11. And after June 11, Ketu will be in the 3rd house as a Swarnamurti, as a golden form. So even without any prayers, Ketu will let your projects take off. Things that you meant to do for a long time but held back, they may basically take off finally. And if you want to maximize it, you can worship Ganesha. Then Karkarasi people, Karkataka Rasi, Cancer, moon sign. Jupiter is in 11th house of gains till May 9th. He's a Rajatamurti, silver form. So this is a terrific time. So Jupiter is auspicious for you for financial gains. To maximize it, you can worship Jupiter or Dattatreya. And between October 6 and December 17, he will be in the first house, Janma Rasi. So during that time, again, there can be some overall obstacles in life. Janma Guru can cause that, and you can worship Jupiter. But more importantly, let's identify, oh, actually, these guys have a lot of good golden and silver transits. But after June 11, Rahu will be in the 8th house. So it can give you some accidents or health problems, difficult health problems, or setbacks, or just anxiety. So for that, the Ashtama Rahu, though because he's Rajamurti, it won't be that bad. But to avoid that, you can worship Durga. And Ketu is till June 11 in the 3rd house of initiative as a golden form, Swarnamurti. So last year or so is a great time for your new initiatives to take off. And if you are not doing it, your window is till June 11. So basically try to worship Ganesha and let your ventures take off. And another thing I can identify is, if there are any problems coming in the next few months and persisting through the year relating to father or boss at work, it may be because of Saturn in the 9th house, though he is the Rajatamurti silver form. So for that, I suggest worshipping Vishwa-vasu Stotram or Venkateshwara prayer. Simharasi people, for them, let's see. So Ketu is in Janma Rasi. So any serious health problems that are undiagnosable for the last several months, maybe because of Janma Ketu, that too has a Lohamurti iron form. So worshipping Ganesha can give you health. And Rahu is in the 7th house. So any marital problems that are going on for a few months, maybe because of Saptama Rahu, Kalatra Rahu, as a iron form, Lohamurti. So worshipping Durga can be beneficial with respect to marital situation. And after June, this is till June 11. After June 11, he will be in the 5th house of children. So any problems with children in the second half of this year and first half of next year, maybe because of Putra Rahu. So worship Durga for that. Durga for the benefit of your children. And Saturn is in the 6th house for the next 2.5 years. This is an excellent time to vanquish your enemies, overcome obstacles, and make progress in life. And he is also a silver form, Rajatamurti. To maximize it, you can worship Venkateshwara, or you can chant Vishwa-vasu Stotram. Or you can directly worship Shani. You can do Shani Homa on Saturdays, and it will be very good for you. And as far as Jupiter is concerned, he is between May 9 and October 6, and after December 17, he is in the 9th house of fortune. And Bhagya Guru is very auspicious. But especially during May 9 to October 6, being a Lohamurti, he may not give results easily. So especially during that time, and possibly whole year, worshipping Jupiter directly, Brihaspati or Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti, that can give you Bhagyodayam. Yeah, we did that. That can give you rise in fortune. So keep that in mind. And also between October 6 and December 17, you will have Karma Guru. Guru in the 10th house, though he is a golden form, this is a very bad transit for Jupiter. So in general, during that time, people tend to act smart, and that won't go well at workplace. So try to lay low during this time. Try to lie low during this time. Then Vrishchika Rasi people. For them, let's see what is particularly good. Till June 11, Ketu will be in the 11th house of material gains. And he is a silver form, Rajatamurti. So worshipping, so this is a period of good financial gains, material gains. And that can be maximized by worshipping Ganesha or Ketu directly. You can do Ganapati Homam regularly, or every day, or every Tuesday, like that, or every Chaturthi, like that. And then after June 11, if you experience some slowdown in career, it may be because of Ketu in the 10th house of career. So worship Ganesha for career. And if you are having any children related problems, right now, it may be because of Rahu in the fifth house. So worshipping Durga can be good for children, and any problems relating to vehicle, house, property, mother, heart, etc. maybe because of Rahu in the fourth house after June 11. So worshipping Durga after June 11 can be good for those matters. And in the next coming months, if you start seeing problems relating to children, you didn't have it in the previous few months, but you start seeing some issues in the next few months, it may be because of Shani in the Putrasthanam, Shani in the fifth house. So for that, you can doing a Shani Homa may be beneficial. And I have a typo. Oh, I have a typo everywhere. For Jupiter Saturn should be just Jupiter. So Jupiter is in the seventh house right now. So till May 9th is a good time for getting married, improving marital relations, etc. And if that's not happening, you can worship Brahaspati. And you will have Ashtama Guru from May 9 to October 6, and again from after December 17. So Jupiter can give you some troubles during that time period relating to the things that he shows in your natal chart. But what I want to highlight is October 6 to December 17 is Bhagya Guru. Jupiter is in the Bhagya Sthanam as a Rajadamurti, as a silver form. So this is a terrific period for your fortune to rise. So to maximize that, you can worship Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti. Now, Dhanu Rasi people, if you are experiencing any slowdown in career, it may be because of Ketu in the 10th house of career. So worshipping Ganesha can be good for career. And after June 11, if your father has any problems, or you are getting into problems with your boss at work or with government in general, it may be because of Ketu in the 9th house. So for that, worshipping Ganesha can be helpful. And moreover, he is Lohamurti, iron form. So worshipping Ganesha after June 11 can be good for all those areas. And till June 11, if there are any property problems or vehicle problems or mother problems relating to mother or heart related problems, it may be because of Rahu in the fourth house of all those things. So worshipping Durga can be beneficial for those things. And after this March 20 transit of Saturn, for example, if you didn't have these results till now, but in the next few months you start seeing issues relating to heart or mother or your studies or your vehicle or your properties, it may be because of Saturn in the fourth house of all those matters as an iron form. So for that, worshipping Shani, doing a Shani Homa on Saturdays is very beneficial. And also doing Rudra Chamakam or doing Mrityunjaya Mantra can be very beneficial. You can also do Vishwa-vasu Stotram. And during May 9 to October 6 and after December 17, Jupiter will be in the 7th house of marriage. So to get married or to improve your current marriage, to improve the marital situation, you can worship Brahaspati or Dakshinamurti or Dattatreya. For Makar Rasi, that was Dhanu Rasi people. For Makar Rasi people, Jupiter is in the 5th house of children. So this is a great time till May 9 for your children, for getting children, for increasing your fame, etc. So that can be accentuated if you worship Brahaspati. And between October 6 to December 17, he will be in the 7th house of marriage, but as a copper form. So to improve marriage or to get married, to get Jupiter's blessings in the area of marriage, you can worship Brahaspati or Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti during that period. And Saturn has recently moved to your 3rd house, and this is awesome. And he's a golden form, so you don't need to do much. Basically, you can have a lot of energy, and things can get done for you. And if that's not happening organically, you can worship Venkateshwara, or you can chant Vishwasnama Stotram, or you can do a Shani Homa on Saturdays. And Rahu is also in the 3rd house, though as an iron form till June 11. So worshipping Durga also can help you with getting energy and initiative till June 11. And Ketu is in 9th house of father and boss till June 11. So if there are any problems relating to your boss or your father, worshipping Ganesha can be helpful. And this is problematic. Ashtama Ketu after June 11. 1.5 years from June 11 will be Ashtama Ketu. So Ketu in the 8th house can give you health problems, particularly difficult to diagnose health problems, very crazy, weird health problems, and in general instability and anxiety. So it can make you angry, frustrated, etc. So for that, even though he is a golden form, because this is a very bad transit, it is very useful to worship Ganesha or Ketu directly. Doing a Ganapati Homa regularly can be very, very, very helpful. Kumbha Rasi people, Jupiter is in the 4th house as a copper form. He will move to 5th house as an iron form. So, and later after December 17, he'll be in the 5th house as a copper form. 4th and 5th are both excellent transits for Jupiter. He will give you a lot of sukha, comforts, and lot of fame, children, etc. But his forms are copper, iron, and copper again. So, it is a good idea to worship Brihaspati or Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti during this year for most of the year. And then your Sadesati is in the last 1/3. So Saturn has just moved to 2nd house and he's a copper form. So it is good to keep chanting Hanuman Chalisa or Mrutyunjay Mantra or Rudra Chamakam, etc. And also do Shani Homa on Saturdays. And Rahu will also be in the 2nd house, though he'll be a golden form. But he will move to the 1st house after June 11. So after June 11, some anxiety, health problems, etc. are possible. So for that, worship Durga, and till June 11, Ketu is in the 8th house. So if there are any frustrations, anxieties, undiagnosable health problems, etc., it may be because of Ashtama Ketu. So worship Ganesha or do Ganapati Homa. And after June 11, if there are any marital problems in the 2nd half of this year, it may be because of Ketu in the 7th house of wife, of spouse. So for marital problems, worshipping Ganesha may be helpful after June 11. Finally, Meena Rasi people. For them, Jupiter's 3rd house transit is not good, but 4th and 5th transits are very good. And he's a copper form till October 6, from May 9 to October 6. So overall during this year, particularly during May 9 to October 6, worshipping Brihaspati or Dattatreya or Dakshinamurti or Sadashiva can be very, very helpful with respect to sukha, with respect to fame, etc. And Saturn is in the 1st house, so this is the middle 1/3 of your Sadesati, 7.5 years of Saturnine problems. So worshipping Hanuman with Hanuman Jalisa, Rudra Chamakam, Mrutyunjay Mantra, those are doing Sanihoma on Saturdays can be very beneficial. Unfortunately, till June 11, Rahu is also in the 1st house. So Janma Shani and Janma Rahu. So worshipping Durga in addition can also be very useful for health and overall mental state. And if there are any marital problems right now, it may be because of Ketu in the 7th house of marriage till June 11. So for that, worshipping Ganesha can be helpful for marriage. And after June 11, Ketu will be in the 6th house of vanquishing enemies, overcoming obstacles. So, and he's a silver form, so gives lot of results without prayer also. So, but if you worship Ganesha after June 11, it can be very good for overcoming various obstacles, vanquishing enemies, and overcoming ill health, and basically being successful in life in general. So these are basically some high level macro readings that I can give and suggestions I can give in terms of remedies to people of various moon signs. But one thing is, to conclude, I want to say that, as I mentioned, economy will be struggling during this year, and there will be wars, and the world will be an increasingly turbulent world. But may you find some peace and happiness in an increasingly turbulent world. And may the world move in the direction of dharmic and sustainable peace. Even though the current period is that of turbulence, may this be the pathway towards a more dharmic and sustainable peace in the long run. So again, Happy New Year, Vishwa-vasu to all of you. Om Tat Sat. Om Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। यावत् भूमण्डले सनातनधर्मो वर्धतु, विशेषतः भरतखण्डे, अमेरिकावर्षे, टिबेट् राष्ट्रे च। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।